Hi everybody. We just learned a little bit about masks and now you're going to make one. So you can see I have this gorgeous paper mache mask that I'm wearing. Somebody made this years ago and it's really gross, but I love it because it is so creepy. And I put it on one of my mannequins and it hangs around, lurks in my room. But I'm going to have you guys make your own mask. I've got some masks behind me. These are all made out of paper mache. So you can see some of them are really friendly and some of them are kind of fierce. This one and this one have quite a set of teeth. So you can, excuse me, you can design your mask any way you want. I'd suggest you probably want to sketch it out first, just because that's a little bit helpful. But things are going to morph, and that's fine. So a few things about what you might need. You're going to need the basics like scissors and a pencil and a hot glue gun. You're definitely going to want that. You're probably going to want some tape. Probably going to want a little wire, maybe not, I don't know, we'll see. I included some of these packaging things in your Go kits. These come in handy for using paper mache, so you might want those. Let's see, you might also, bells. You're going to need cardboard for sure. So harvest some cardboard from recycling this week or from your Go kit. I don't, you know, wherever you get it. Tubes are good things to use. Those can be horns or those can be any number of things. I included a little styrofoam ball. Sometimes that's helpful for eyebrows or chin or something like that, so you might want to use that. Like I said, you know, cardboard is going to be your armature. That's really going to be what you use. You might later on use some of the gold foil, but primarily what you need right now is a good work surface that you can get sloppy, so put paper down. You're going to need a container to mix your paper mache in, and all this is flour and glue. You could eat this, but I will tell you, if you have a wheat allergy, don't eat it. And in fact, if you have a wheat allergy, let me know and I'll give you another concoction. Or what you can do is put a little Mod Podge in warm water and mix it around, and that makes a great paper mache. So I like to use the school paper towel again. I know we used that before, but this stuff is fantastic for padding and, you know, making horns, things like that. But it also covers the cardboard really, really nicely. So I've been working on this mask for a little while and I don't have it nailed down here. But you can see I'm making, I've got to attach these better. I'm using chicken wire. I didn't put chicken wire in your Go kit because chicken wire is really, it's so hard to work with. It's really not fun and it scratches you up and it's pretty brutal stuff. But if you have it and you want to use it, you can go ahead and use it. Just be careful because when it cuts you, if you've used it for chickens, you will be infected. So be very careful with that. And again, I think I would just go straight up cardboard. But you can see I'm sort of working on this. It's not finished. It's got a ways to go. But that's what I've been working on to show you guys. So you're going to need to probably cut a shape out of cardboard. And to do that, I would just get a piece like this. Like this can be a mask, right? So what you might want to do is get your cardboard cutter. I forgot to mention that's a handy thing. And you can just, you know, saw it into a face form. To get it round, what I would suggest is, let me finish this, to get it round or to get it maybe more shaped to your face, a little, I can't talk through this, a little tidbit is to dart it. So if you remember working with cardboard, I showed you this attachment board. One of the things is to make a cut. So then you can round it. So you see what I'm doing here, right? So that's going to give it a little bit of form so that, you know, supposedly I could wear it. You can kind of work flat as well and then build out, which is what I kind of like to do. So I don't know if you can see, but in the back of this, I have a pretty flat piece of cardboard, and then I've attached a lot of other stuff to it.
Please come to Student Affairs. Paige Armstrong to Student Affairs, please.
Okay, the other thing, and I think this is actually pretty kind of a fun thing. This box came in, people give me their boxes because they know I like cardboard. I think this would make a great mask. You know, my head isn't really gonna fit in there, but I'm never gonna wear this. So it's just sort of the idea of a mask. You don't actually have to be able to wear it. But this box was perfect, so I just cut some eye holes in it and a mouth hole. And this is maybe what I would start playing around with in terms of adding things. So, you know, if I wanted to put ears on it, I might do something like this. And I do tend to work separately with things. So I tend to construct things, paper mache them, and then I might hot glue them to the mask afterward. And that actually works pretty well. So when you try to do it all at once, it can kind of get away from you a little bit. The other thing I might mention, and hopefully I mentioned this in the slideshow, if you don't want to make a mask, you can make some sort of headwear. So this has not been paper mache'd yet, but you can see it's really nicely constructed. This was a student who did this last year, and you can see they used some really nice corrugated cardboard there, and this would be really, really strong once it's paper mache'd. Paper mache is pretty, it's not quite as strong as plaster, but it's pretty close to it. So just a couple things about working with paper mache. When you mix up your little bit of it, I would probably use half of this at a time. That way, if you need some more later on, you can go back and use it. So I've got some mixed up here. Now, they say cold water is best, but I like to mix it with cold and mix it kind of lumpy and let it sit for a while, and then I add a little warm water just because I don't like it when it's cold. It's kind of unpleasant to work with. So one thing you should know about it is it's sticky. So you definitely want to have your workspace, and I'll tip this down now. Oh gosh, why can't I tip this down? I don't want to remake this movie here. Okay, sorry, bearing with me here. So I like to have my workspace covered, so that's pretty important. The other thing that I like to have are some pre-stripped pieces of paper. So whether you're using the school paper towel, which I did give you some of, I don't know if I gave you enough to do your whole thing in paper mache. The other thing that works great is newsprint. Now this is blank newsprint, and you do have some of that in your Go Kit. But if you don't, just get a copy of, you know, Coastal Journal or the Crier or something. And if you fold the page or tear it from where the fold is, it'll tear into these really nice strips. So that's a little bit of information that might be helpful. Because if you tear it this way, sometimes you don't tend to tear in strips. So just something that I kind of like to do is make a pile. So that's your feed pile. And again, like with plaster, don't get your feed pile all wet. Okay, so definitely keep that dry. So if I want to make this pointed, say I want to make this into a horn or something like that. I did that little slit right there, and now I'm going to take my tape. And you could use a glue gun, but my tape is really going to hold it, and my tape, I'm not going to see my tape. So I'm going to really wrap that. So, you know, using tape is definitely something that I would do. So that's not like a pointy horn, but that's something that you could use as I don't know, a beak or a horn or something like that. And then I might also do a little flanging to make it easier to put on my mask. So I'm just kind of showing you some multiple ways of working here before you strike out. So that's going to be a lot easier to tape down or to hot glue down than it is if you just leave it like that and try to do it like that, because there's no contact there. Okay, enough of that. Let me roll up my sleeves here and get going. So all you do, same thing with the plaster strips, you're just gonna dip this in here, and I like to squeegee a little bit of it off, and that also just makes sure that everything's pretty coated. Like I'm missing some there, but that's okay. And then it's very simple. You're just gonna wrap it. And you can, the nice thing about paper mache is that you can make it as thick as you want. And you can also kind of construct with it. So if I wanted to put like little, you know, bumpy things on this or something, I could roll up a little bit of this stuff. You know, if I want to put spikes or something, I could roll this up, make a little spike, let that dry a little, or better than letting it dry, add a little more paper around the base. And you can sort of paint with this stuff too. And that will attach that. So that's not anything that I have a plan for, but I do want to show you how to build with wire. So what I'm going to do is make a horn, or make a, actually I'm doing this sort of Cthulhu type bird who has a lot of horns, or tentacles rather. So I'm going to take a piece of this aluminum wire that I really love. It's so great. I'm going to fold it in half and twist it a little bit. My hands are really wet, so it's kind of hard to do this. But, and then I'm going to take a bunch of paper towel. Now, you don't have to use the school paper towel for this. You can use like anything squishy. You can use toilet paper, you can use Bounty, you can use whatever you got kicking around the house. Because all I'm doing right now is making some padding. And I'm just kind of twisting this, hot in this, just sort of twisting this and making it bigger at the base than at the top. And now I'm going to take my tape, losing everything in my pile, and again I'm going to taper at the top, and I'm going to let it kind of loosen up toward the bottom, like a horn or a tentacle or anything like that might. And then you can kind of shape it a little bit, but the beauty of this is that you can curve it, right? So if I'm attaching a horn or something like that onto here, I can then wire this to my mask. And then I can just give it a nice coat of the paper mache, and it'll be really, really strong. The other thing I just wanted to show you, I took these little painting cups. They were little plastic things, and I just put them underneath a skin of that stuff, and it, you know, makes it look sort of like dinosaur-like and just a little creepy and strange and a little formed. So you can make forms like this really easily with wire. And also, you know, these little pillow forms are great to give yourself a little bit of extra something. So maybe eyebrows, or I don't know, a chin, or who knows. So I'm using the newsprint now, and I'm just going to cover this. And I'm going to cover it, and then I'm going to sit it somewhere so that it's not sitting on paper. When that hardens, it's very hard, it's very stiff, and you could always pop that afterwards if you wanted to. So there are a lot of different ways you can work with paper mache, and I'm not going to go into every little detail here because there's so much. I mean, there really is a ton. So I would get online and look for things like Gourmet Paper Mache. It's this mask maker who does this fantastic stuff with paper mache. Your piece can be simple. It doesn't have to be huge like this. I love this little piece. This was a student piece, just cardboard, and she made sort of this, it's almost like an Olmec Aztec mask. She pierced the nose. She put sort of gauges in the ears. It's very simple, but it is curved. So that is kind of the one thing that I want to make sure. I don't want you to have a flat mask. Okay, so flat masks are not terribly interesting. Have some sort of curve in them. This is not a good example, but if you don't go, full bore round, which is fine, you don't have to, at least give a nod to some sort of dimension. So that next week, when you start putting your gewgaws and your whatever you've got, beads or I don't know what, feathers and yarn or anything you have around the house, you might want to start collecting that stuff. I tend to like to go just for straight paint with a little bit of something here and there, but this foil is really, it's great fun, so you might really be able to find something nice to do with that. Fake flowers. This gal's used some gold leaf, magazines. This is just stucco, just gesso. This is painted with some gold leaf, painted and not painted. This actually has sheetrock mud on it, which I really like a lot. So not the greatest video here, but it just kind of gives you a little bit of, I don't know, just gives you something to go by. I've got two nice masks up here. There's an elephant and a lion. I love masks. Masks are really cool, and I know, right now we're sort of a little tired of them, but that's not the kind of mask we're talking about here. So have fun with this project, because it definitely, masks have been an important part of cultures for, ever since we started walking upright. So have a good time, and I'll see you next week. Bye.